Hi, Fabulites. I'm reviewing my favorite show of all time, television show, Underground, Season 1, Episode 1. I already did a recap overview of the entire season, but I'm just going to get into some specific things having to do with Season 1, each episode by episode. So I've rewatched them, even though I love the show, so I've watched each episode a million times. I took notes, so I'm ready. You ready? You excited? It's coming back. I'm so excited. It's just my favorite all-time show on television. So we're going to do a review and a recap of Underground Season 1, Episode 1. You ready? Let's go. Episode 1 is called The Macon 7. What I love about this episode is that it kind of established everybody, got everything set up in terms of who's who the characters are, and what the scenario is, what the situation is. So it opens with the main character, or one of the main characters, Noah, on the run. And it opens with, I think that this must be Kanye's Black Skinhead music. It opens and closes with that, so it loops back around. And it's just like a driving beat. He's running, he's hiding. He eventually gets caught, but it's a nice opening. It's a powerful opening. And in this particular episode, they don't do their regular theme. So it opens with Noah on the run, and we can't really tell who he is or what he's running from. But we kind of quickly get established that he is enslaved. They say Georgia, 1857 at the opening of the episode. So we have a space and a time established for that scene. This episode goes a lot of different places. The next thing that we see is Rosalie, who is what I call a witch in training. She's being trained by her mother to be a midwife. She's an herbalist. We don't know this at this point, but she's summoned because a child is being born. A character named Seraphina is having a child with Zeke, who's going to be one of the Macon 7. And Rosalie is summoned from tending to flowers in the front of the big house, because there's some issues with the baby. The baby is coming, there's some issues. So she's, go get my mother. She runs back. Her mother comes. Her mother is in control of the situation. Her mother is Ernestine. And she sees that the baby is breached. The baby is coming out feet first. So they got to turn the baby around, which they do. Then we switch to Washington, D.C., and we meet a character called John Hawkes. I don't think we know his name at that point, but he's like on the steps of, I don't know if it's supposed to be the courthouse or whatever, but he's talking about basically the Dred Scott decision, or I guess the Dred Scott decision had not been made at this point. So he's kind of talking about the rights of man and speaking on the courthouse steps, and he's being ignored, but he is being observed by a character, which we learn later is William Steele, who is an actual real historical character. There may be other characters that are real historical characters. The ones that I have picked up on, I'll try to mention as we go. Then we switch back to North Atlanta, and Mr. Noah, who was running when the show opened, has been caught. Before that, we switched to a scene in a post office where our super slave catcher character, his name is August, is having a letter read to him. He's not able to read. The person who runs the post office is reading a letter to him. We see a wanted sign in the background. I don't think I noticed that initially, but there is a wanted sign for a runaway slave or runaway enslaved African. And this is, I guess, the establishment of the system of posting stuff in postal offices. So what else? So we meet Super Slave Catcher. It's established that he is not able to read. It's kind of hard to catch on, but his wife is in the hospital. She has some mental issues, so he has received a letter about what's going on with her, requesting money. The person who runs the post office reads the letter. Seems kind of like, sketchy, like this is the third or fourth time that they've asked you for money this year. August is not trying to hear it. That's his wife. It's the best hospital in the country, he says, and whatever they ask for, he's here for it. He gonna give whatever money he has for his wife, whose name is actually Charlotte. Oh, well, that doesn't happen then, but so anyway, that's happening later. Right now, he is. Oh yeah, that happened. Um, we go to a scene where the main family, Susanna and Tom Macon, are planning a birthday party for their teenage girl, which is a political event. Tom Macon is running for Senate, so we established that, and that she's not really happy about her birthday party being a political event, but she's happy about her birthday party. We learned that Elizabeth, who is the wife of John Hawkes, Elizabeth Hawkes is the wife of John Hawkes. We learned that she has had some issues with pregnancy, with infertility. We see a couple of scenes of her in rage. Her husband gets home in the middle of the night and it's like banging and pounding going on. He don't know if she's okay, but it turns out that she says, "Oh, I'm just making a nursery for the baby," which we find out through flashbacks in that scene, that she is not seeming to be able to hold a baby, and is having fertility issues, and she's really frustrated and upset about that. So even though she says, "Oh, I'm just building the nursery, do you think yellow is a pretty color?" She's venting her frustration at not being able to be a mommy. Noah said, we come back upon Noah. He says that he is not running. He was not running, but he has been caught up with a group of other men, and there is some indication that there is still a woman that was with one of the men who's still running, but he's been caught up. We find that he gets taken to a holding cabin in the woods with fire and candles. It looks relatively comfortable to me. I don't know if that's historically accurate to what would actually have been the experience of someone who is captured in those circumstances. I don't know. I read one comment where someone was like, "Well, why didn't they burn it down?" I don't know if the people are all supposed to be out there watching them. I'm not sure. But he's in there. He's in the cabin. A man is talking to him and says that, "I'm just going to go forward. I see freedom burning in your eyes. I know you want to be free." Noah's like, "I wasn't running. I just got lost. The dogs confused me." He getting his story together, because later we see that he's going to basically give the same story to his captor and the people who want to beat him for running away or trying to be free. But he's researching, so we kind of get the sense established that he is a researcher. The man tells him that he has a map to freedom, that he made it to freedom, that what happened to him is that he got shot once he came out of the water, or, he got injured once he came out of the water, but that he wants Noah to, go forward to freedom. He has the map to freedom. Noah doesn't believe there's a map. He says he carved it on the wall. The man dies. Noah finds carved in the wall the lyrics to a song. He doesn't know at the time that it's the lyrics to the song, but he recognizes one of the words, which is free, and that's all he knows. So he takes some of his blood, he rubs it on the wall, and then takes his shirt and presses it up against the words on the wall and the blood to make a print. He does some basic printing, and has captured a copy of the words, the original photocopying. We come back and onto the plantation. So there's a lot of moving about in this episode, from scene to scene to scene to scene to scene. But we come back and we find out that Seraphina, who had given birth to Zeke's son in one of the earlier scenes, who was assisted by Rosalie and her mother Ernestine, has killed her baby. And Rosalie is really upset about that, and Seraphina is upset about it, but she's is happy at the same time, because she feels like her baby is not going to have to experience what she has experienced, or what, she's just not excited about the prospects that her child has in life. So it's an emotional scene. We come back and find that Noah has been brought back to the same plantation with Serafina, or work camp, or whatever I want to call it, a work camp. I want to stop using language like slave master and plantation and the big house, because it's a work camp. It's a place where people are held captive, they're tortured, they're beaten, they're there against their will, they're forced to work. So I don't feel like it should be some I need to find some stronger language to express the awfulness of the situation, and how the situation is some bull, and not normal, and not acceptable, and not okay, and not cute at all. But so I'm struggling to try to find a better way to talk about some stuff that's really some bull. So we learned that so Noah has been brought back. He's being attacked or threatened by Bill, who is the overseer. Bill Meeks. He ain't meek at all, but Bill Meeks is the overseer, and we don't know his name at this point, I don't think, but he's got a brand, a hot brand, ready to put it on Noah's face. He just ready and excited to put it on Noah's face, because he knows that Noah ran away, and Noah's begging the master, his main enslaver, what is this child? Is Tom Macon, the owner of the plantation, who's run it for 20 years. He's begging him, no, please don't. I wasn't running away. I got lost. I've made this trip 1,000,000 times. I just got discombobulated. And then when the dogs were running at me, I would never run away. I just love it here. I love working for you for free. What could be better than that? Please don't burn up my face. And we see Cato in the shadows in that scene. So Cato is one of the Macon 7. And we find out that the Mr. Macon, slave owner Macon, has had to pay $5 for Noah's return. And they give Noah 5 lashes for that $5 that he had to pay. But he does not get branded. We come back to Super Slave Catcher, who has, earlier we saw that he heard that there was a woman that was missing, that there were 2, they had captured one man, but they hadn't captured the other woman, these black people who were trying to get to their freedom as a couple. But this group of slave catchers that August had run into had captured one of the 2, and they were looking for the woman. He notices that there's a piece of fabric in the bushes, and he's a tracker. We learn, not even in this, I don't even think we learned in the first 3 episodes, but eventually we come to know that he has learned to be a tracker from his enslaved African, who learned to be a tracker from Native people. So he has tracked this woman into by the water. He talks to her and tells her, the slave catchers are on your tail. I don't know where you're trying to get to, but I can help you. She comes out. He asks where she's going. She trying to get free. She trying to follow the drinking gourd. He says she did pretty good, but she's north of Atlanta or south of Atlanta, but she on the wrong side of Atlanta, and that he can help her. She should get into his wagon, and he can help her get to freedom, because he's done it before. And the slave catchers, we can hear the dogs barking in the background. They right on her tail. She don't know whether to trust him. She decides to trust him. He says all of the right things, as people can do. And what choice does she really have? So he tells her to rub her stank on the tree and walk toward the water and then back up, and sure enough, the dogs, and he's secreted her in his wagon, covered her up and everything. And as when the dogs come, they follow the trail to the water. The slave catcher's like, she done got in the water. What you doing here, August? August's like, I'm watering my mule, And they're like, well, why you stop to water your mule here? This is a convenient situation you got going on here. And they try to check his wagon. And being the super slave catcher that he is, he throws a knife, and as one tries to check his wagon, and catches one in the hand with his knife to stop him from checking his cabin. And also at the meantime, he's drawn 2 guns, so he has guns on everybody. He's just super slave catcher. Oh, we don't know he's a slave catcher at this time. He's just Superman at this point. We don't know that. So he's helped her, and or we feel that he's helped her, and then at the next scene that we see with them, she gets to his place and he gives her water, and well, why do you do this? And he tells us he has a son. His son's name is Ben J, he calls him, but I think for the rest of the time he's called Ben. He has a son and he wants a better world for his son, or he's doing it for his son, or something to that effect that he says. And then he actually drinks after her. I noticed that, so I thought that was interesting. So then the next scene that we see with them, I'm just going to go on through this train. The next scene that we see with them, I think he has, so the slave catchers, the 2 or 3 of them that were together that had Noah caught up, and 4 or 5 other men, and were looking for the woman that August ended up catching. They're collecting their money. They got $5 for Noah. They got $50 for this one. Why do we only get $50? The sign says, or the paperwork says we're supposed to get $100. Oh, well, the guy says it's $100 for the pair. You only brought in the man. Well, that woman, she jumped in the water. She's dead. She's not, can't nobody get her, so y'all should give us $100. Well, somebody did get her. August got her. And when she came in, she said that he was an angel or a messenger of God. She came in, he had covered her head up, brought her right in, and turned her in. And as he was doing it, she still thought that he was her friend, but he was not. He was turning her in for money. And I mean, the whole system is not friendly anyway. So he's in a jacked up situation. We, my people are in a jacked up situation. It's just a jacked up situation. The people who are benefiting from it are the wealthy people at the top of the chain. The poor white people aren't doing any better, really, than the poor black people. So we see that super slave catcher, that's it with him. Rosalie meets Noah. He's been brought back to the plantation. He has a leg injury, so Rosalie is brought in, or come here, girl, check his leg, see if he's doing all right, or fix him, or help him, or help to heal him. She comes in, she checks his leg. He's so weak, he needs her to help to take off his shirt. And she realizes that he's faking. When she checks his leg, she like, it's not that bad. This ain't that bad. And then he says, no, it ain't that bad. Why is you pretending? And he said, we all pretending in some way. So she's kind of just amazed and mystified by the situation. And he, struts out, and then he starts to limping again to, he wants to show that he's weak. They don't have to worry about him. So Hawks is on the train heading toward the Macon plantation. That is Elizabeth and what's the father's name, the husband's name? Elizabeth and John Hawks are heading to the plantation for the niece's birthday. It's her birthday. So that's that. They're having sex on the train. It's all hot and heavy, and right in the middle of it, Miss Elizabeth is wait, I gotta put the pillow at this angle because my neighbor or somebody told me that, that's gonna help me get pregnant, and it kind of ruins the mood for him. And then he tells her that when he was in Washington, D.C., I forgot to tell you that not only was still watching him when he was in Washington, D.C., but William still approached him and said, I know who you are, and, where you live is in a prime location for the work that we're trying to do. Nobody's listening to you. This is something that's important to you. Help us. Be a part of, let us use your house for this work of freeing enslaved people. Let's not just talk about it. Let's be about it. Let's do it. And John is like, nah, we're not going to do that. But so next scene, he's with his wife. He talks, they having sex. She's so in her head about trying to get pregnant that she ruins the mood. So he's like, look, I ran, and William still approached me. He asked if he could use our house, for, helping people to escape to freedom. And she's like, no, it's dangerous. I hear that those people kill people. No, this is not a good look. We not doing this. And what about our family? He like, we ain't got no family. Shit, you can't get pregnant. And so she's real mad about that. When they get to the party, when they eventually get to the house, her jaw's tight the whole time, and he tries to avoid her the whole time because he said that statement that's insensitive, because she really wants to be pregnant. She really wants to be a mommy, and she feels bad that she can't. Um, so, um, so they get to, you know, they get to the plantation and they're at the party. We see a scene with Elizabeth at the party, and she's kind of distracted. There's a group of women gathered around her, including Susanna Macon, who's the mistress, the head woman in charge of, in capturing and benefiting from the labor of black people on this work camp they got going that they call a house. And so they're there chit-chatting and trying to engage her. Well, what do you do? What's it like in the north? And she's like, well, it's not as oppressive here. And she's staring off in the distance. And well, what do you mean it's not as oppressive? What does your husband do? Well, my husband is a lawyer. Susanna, the mistress of the plantation, he's in the business of helping. He deals with nigger rights or whatever. And kind of nasty. And well, she's in this woman, Elizabeth, well, I don't like to talk about politics. And well, yeah, you northerners don't like to talk about politics. You want us to do all the work. You just want to talk, and we have to do all the work of making this economy work. Meanwhile, she's benefiting from the work of other people. And Elizabeth points that out. She's like, oh, this cake is good. Did you make it? And so then Susanna is like, well, you can, say all of that now. Susanna is very pregnant. And Susanna says, you can say all of that now, but you'll feel differently when you have a family. So she's they have some jabs going back and forth. So we established that Susanna and Elizabeth don't get along. We also find out that what Elizabeth is looking at in the distance, because she later, when she connects with her husband, and he's like, I'm sorry that I said that. I should be thinking about our family first. We should not be doing anything with the Williams deal. She's like, his brother has asked him to be his campaign manager. And he says, Elizabeth, let's move down here. We can be close to family until we have our family. I'll be able to stay home more. And, if I have a senator, if my brother is a senator, then I can, help slaves in that way, or help black people be free in that way. And she's like, basically like, no, I'm not down with it. I saw, they have a little boy sitting up. I don't like this whole situation. They have a little boy. I can't have children. They got this little boy sitting up. She called it a swing. It looked like a box in the ceiling to me, but he was fanning him. And it was kind of like, it kind of threw her off, because, she's like, they treating him like he a piece of the furniture. So no, this is kind of like establishing the fact that she does want to be a part of helping black people to get freedom. And that she also tells him that basically the doctor told her that they can't have children because of her. And so, it's almost like she's transposed her desire to have children and raise children to desire to help children like the little baby boy, who is actually our baby boy James, who is Ernestine's daughter, Rosalie's little brother. This is a lot. I'm just on okay. We see Noah and Henry strategizing, and Henry is a young man who, at the beginning, we had seen that he was getting beat because they were trying to figure out where Noah was. They figured he knew where Noah was because they're close, and Noah hadn't come back when they thought he was going to come back because he had gotten caught up. So we find out that Noah's plan was to try to do some research and connect with some people on the Underground Railroad and come back. He wasn't planning on leaving Henry. He was just trying to do some research, get his plan together, his strategy together. So we established the character of Henry. He's about 15 years old, and he ready. He's excited. He's, I'm gonna do 200 push-ups. I've been doing them every night because that's what you told me to do. And then Noah's like, well, do 50 more. They're bonded. They trying to be strong so they can escape and be strong physically and mentally. We see Ernestine doing the daughter's hair, Susanna and Tom Macon's daughter's hair, the teenage girl who's having the party. And it's kind of established that Susanna is jealous of Ernestine because Ernestine is doing her hair, and the little girl, oh, my hair just looks so good. Oh, my dress looks so good. Oh, Ernestine, you're just the greatest. What would I do without you? And the mom is over there, with her jaw tight, upset. because she is forcing somebody else to take care of her child, and she's mad that her child has bonded with this other somebody. So we also meet, in the next scene, we meet August, his slave, who is an older man. His hair is wrapped. He has a gun, but I didn't know that he was a slave, but I saw someplace that he is supposed to be an enslaved African. But he has a lot of freedom. He's there with August's son when August is not there. He has a gun. They seem like colleagues more than, what we typically think of as the master-slave relationship. I hate that language. So we kind of meet that character, and we meet August's son, who is they end up killing the horses. August and his enslaved African, whose name I do not know, but with the head wrap, older man with the head wrap. So they end up killing the horse because the horse seems to have milk sickness, or all of the horses seem to have milk sicknesses and sickness. But they try to distract Ben J from being a part of it because he's on the sensitive side, and he's young too. He's 12, something like that. They distract him from seeing this murderation of the horse or horses by sharing with him a baseball that August has gotten, and a baseball, a mitt, and they don't know what baseball is, and he explains it to them. So I don't know if that's historically accurate, but that was interesting. White overseer distracted, fills out wager, yelling at James. Rosalie takes lashes. Bill Meeks, who is not that Meek, is distracted. He driving, and I can see he has supplies for the party on his wagon. He's distracted, and then the next thing he knows, the little boys, TR, who is Tom and Susanna's son, and James, who is Ernestine's son, and Rosalie's little brother, are playing. They're playmates. They playing, and the overseer Bill Meeks is distracted. He ends up crashing and knocking everything down. He pissed. He blames it on the little black boy because he can't blame it on the little white boy or himself. And so he's pissed. He gonna beat the little black boy, James. So meanwhile, Susanna is watching on the porch. Susanna, Ernestine, Rosalie, and Tom Macon are all on the porch, and Susanna sends Rosalie down to get her son TR, and Ernestine is like, oh, I'll go because she's better able to handle situations, better able to negotiate. She want to protect her children. But Susanna says, no, Rosalie, go. So Rosalie goes. She's like, oh my gosh, the man is upset. Bill Meeks is upset. Look at what you made me do. You little, you ruined this. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to beat you. Rosalie is like, wait, it's my fault. I gave him the candy that's got him running around. Don't beat him. And she ends up taking lashes for him. It seems like it's the first time that she's gotten beat. She gets 4 or 5 lashes across her arms. They all bloody. Finally, Tom has it stop because some people have arrived, which is his brother and his sister-in-law, but also because Ernestine has given him just the saddest look. So we kind of begin to establish that there's a relationship between them two. And he says she gonna need, Rosalie, who just got her arms beat, is gonna need those hands for serving. So stop beating her, Bill Meeks, my overseer. So that's that. Then we go into a scene or a section where the funeral of the baby, Seraphina's baby that she killed infanticide, that she killed Seraphina and Zeke's baby, because Zeke is one of the Macon 7, has been killed. The funeral is being run by Moses, who's one of the Macon 7. And that's juxtaposed with the birthday party political event for Tom Macon's Senate run. So you start off with the black people singing like a spiritual, I can't remember what the song was, and then it's juxtaposed with some dance music, and it kind of goes a little bit back and forth, but definitely visually you're back and forth. That was a really interesting scene. And during that scene, Noah is recruiting Sam, who is Ernestine's son, Rosalie's brother, James's big brother. He's recruiting Sam. He's recruiting Moses. He's recruiting Moses is the preacher into, let's run away. Because when he got caught, he said that what he noticed is that everybody who was running was basically alone, although we know it was a couple. But that, we're going to need a group. We're going to run, as a group. We might be slower, but we're going to be stronger because we have everybody's resources. Cato is watching Noah as he's recruiting different people during the funeral. The brothers, the white brothers talk in the cellar. That's John and Tom. And, this is when Tom makes the offer for John to be his campaign manager. There's a lot. I'm going to try to cut this because we're already at 30 minutes. Okay, we already talked about that. Okay. We meet Moses and Pearlie Mae. They assume they have wanted to recruit Moses to run with them because they think that he can read. He's the preacher. He quotes Bible scripture. Actually, his wife Pearlie Mae can read. And Pearlie Mae is the mother of Boo. So Moses and Boo end up being part of the Macon 7. Even though this episode is called the Macon 7, we don't really know who the Macon 7 are. So I'm just, until they become the Macon 7. Right now, it's just we're meeting different people in the community. Noah has passed on to Moses the freedom map, the words that he got off the wall using his blood and his shirt from the man who had died, who had carved those words on the wall. We found out that it's a song, that the words have been changed, but they think it's a map to freedom. Pearlie Mae reads it. She sings the song, and she tells us, kind of what the situation is, but they can't decipher it. In the morning, we see Zeke, who's a big man, at the grave of his child who has been murdered by his wife Seraphina. Someone comes running. Moses comes running and says they're taking Seraphina. The slave people are selling Seraphina. Zeke gets up. He runs. Right before Zeke gets there, we see Pearlie Mae saying a prayer with Seraphina, covering her head with a hat as she's in the back of the wagon to be taken away. Then when Zeke gets there, he is running into the wagon and knocking it apart because he's not having his wife being taken away without some sort of fight. It takes 2 men to hold him down. And I think the 2 men are Noah and Henry. And he gets put in the hole in the ground naked. Noah goes to Cato, who is not an overseer, but he's like a driver. He's the black driver on the plantation. And so he goes to Cato and says, Cato, oh no, this doesn't happen yet. So we see that I'm sorry, y'all don't know this yet. So Zeke runs into okay, so it's a whole nother one. We don't see that at all. We just see Sam counting his money because Sam is a carpenter and he gets money and he's convinced he gonna get his freedom. He gonna buy his freedom. He's counting his money, although he's been approached to run away, but he don't know if he should do it the legitimate way and buy his freedom or run away. We see Zeke in mourning. We see Noah being taken into the big house, and Rosalie is outside and they exchange glances, and we see there's some sexual tension there. Cato propositions Noah while they wait to talk to Tom Macon, who's the owner of the plantation, because Cato has been kind of on Noah the whole time. Like, I know you planning to run. I know what's going on. I know, you pretending like, oh, I'll never run from you, master, but I see you. I know that's not what's going on. And when y'all run away, you taking that boy Henry, and I see you talking to other people, it's going to be the people left behind that are going to suffer. And Noah's like, you don't care nothing about nobody. All you care about is yourself. He like, right, that's why my behind is not going to be left behind. You taking me with you. And it's like, oh my gosh, what? He wants to go? And you don't know if he really wants to go or if he's just trying to get information to give to the master. So Noah is like right, there he has to make a decision. And so we see him back in the office. It loops back around to how the episode started with the black skinhead music playing. It's, this time the tension is not physical tension and mental tension. It's just the mental tension of what should he do. Because Noah has basically said, not Noah, but Kato has basically said, either I'm in or I'm going to tell on your ass and you're going to get in trouble. So that's how the episode ends. Thanks for watching. I love Underground. I hope that wasn't just too chaotic and confusing. Underground season 1, episode 1. Yep, that's it. Bye.